Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is here on our Emergency Management Associates Network tonight. We welcome you here with open arms and grateful hearts. God bless everybody here. We are coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've done in years past, we're going to start off this broadcast with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
The United States Army Barbershop Quartet, coming to us from the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The hosts of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and we appreciate that and thank them for that. We also want to thank these wonderful men from the national military of our country, and we want to thank all the men and women of our United States military, and also the military of our allies, wherever they might be in this world. God bless you all, men and women. We thank you for your service, and may you all return home safely to your families after your tours of duty end. God bless you, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Thank you. Guys, we have a ton of information to give you tonight. The top story tonight is Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, former president of the United States, has now been indicted by the Manhattan, New York grand jury. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who was handpicked and funded by George Soros, is a disgrace. This is a statement by President Trump today. He's a disgrace. Rather than stop the unprecedented crime wave taking over New York City, he's doing Joe Biden's dirty work, ignoring his murders, his burglaries, and assaults. He should be focused on that. This is how Mr. Bragg spends his time. I believe the witch hunt will backfire massively on Joe Biden. The American people realize exactly what the radical left Democrats are doing. Everyone can see it. So our movement and our party, united and strong, will defeat Alvin Bragg. And then we will defeat Joe Biden. And we're going to throw away the last of these crooked Democrats out of office so we can make America great again. President Trump, you have our support. You have our undying support and our loyalty. I want to say this, guys. Alvin Bragg, I believe, has bitten off more than he can chew. Mr. Bragg has done his last dirty deed. Okay? Mr. Bragg has had his hand in the Cracker Barrel, in the cookie jar, and everywhere else but where it should be. Mr. Bragg, as of this point in time, is in violation of his oath of office. He's also about to be disbarred from the New York attorneys group. Okay? He's about to be disbarred. This could end his career and could send him to jail. And not just that. In getting this indictment, he has refused to give the grand jury exonerating information which would clear President Trump. He's refused to come forward with the fact that President Trump is past the statute of limitations, and Mr. Cohen, who testified before the grand jury, lied to the grand jury. There's so much Mr. Bragg has done wrong that this thing could backfire. He could be out of a job and also be in prison as a result of his actions. Okay? It's unreal. And I want to tell you this. There was a statement from the Senate and the United States Congress today that they were going to put forth a bill today for Mr. Biden's signature that would exonerate not just Mr. Trump, but any president, foreign or former and going forward, from any criminal prosecution ever. This is the first time in United States history that a former president has been indicted on criminal charges. Okay? We don't know where this is going to go. And anyone that is waiting to see Mr. Trump in handcuffs, you're going to be waiting a freaking long time. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Secret Service will never let that happen. I want to make my voice clearly known on this. The Secret Service still is protecting Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump cannot go anywhere where there is not a United States Secret Service agent with him. This is clearly uncharted ground that Mr. Bragg has started on. And Mr. Bragg is going to end up in prison over this. Okay? He's going to end up in prison. Now, I have a lot to say tonight. I would hope that all of you would pay close attention to what we're talking about tonight. Okay? No former president has ever been criminally charged. Donald Trump is saying he's completely innocent. This is from a statement the former president put forth out in the wake of the news that a grand jury in New York has indicted him. Incredible. This is in direct relationship to a case that wasn't even supposed to be. It's past the statute of limitations. Okay? This was in regards to a reimbursement of hush money paid to porn star Stormy Daniels. A former attorney of Mr. Trump, Mr. Cohen, allegedly paid Stormy Daniels a good sum of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Allegedly. That was 7 years ago. The statute of limitations passed 5 years ago. That was before the 26th election campaign. Trump attorney Alina Habba has said Trump is a victim of a corrupt and distorted version of the American justice system and history. He will be vindicated. Stormy Daniels' attorney has come forward. Clark Brewster said Trump's indictment is no cause for joy. Let truth and justice prevail. The House of Representatives number 2 Republican Steve Scalise is calling the indictment a sham. The sham New York indictment of the President Donald Trump is one of the clearest examples of extremist Democrats weaponizing government to attack their political opponents. This only further solidifies our government is just that, a cesspool of corruption. A cesspool of corruption. Now, I have a lot that's going on today. I want to get into this right away. We have a lot of things to talk about. Okay? This is the top story besides the president being indicted. Early this morning, just before 10 a.m. this morning, another college here in North Carolina, okay? Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Forsyth Technical College. It's a community college in Winston-Salem, was put under lockdown this morning. For those of you that have not heard that something was going on here in North Carolina this morning, you're hearing it now. Shots were fired at the Forsyth Tech College in Winston-Salem at just about 10:30 a.m. this morning. An 18-year-old Winston-Salem preparatory student injured himself in a shooting at the college today. Winston-Salem police said 18-year-old Winston-Salem Preparatory Academy student was injured in the shooting, following a report of shots fired at Forsyth Technical College earlier today. Police said the student, Shannon Howard James Pitts of Winston-Salem, shot himself in the hand and was located near the bathroom of the Strickland Center. More than 600 high school students were there at Forsyth Technical Campus to attend a focus on campus for high school students, acquainting high school students with that college. Police said the student was treated for 9 non-life-threatening injuries. They do not know if the student did it on purpose or if it was an accident. In either case, that student had a firearm on campus. The shooting prompted a security threat on campus, leading to a campus lockdown and evacuation of students and staff. Police said it was not an active shooter on campus. They also said there's no threat to the community or the suspect at large. Winston-Salem police and sheriffs and other law enforcement agencies are on campus. They've declared the campus safe at this time. There is no active shooter remaining on the campus. Winston-Salem police and sheriff and the technical college staff attended a news conference at approximately 5 p.m. today and said the campus is safe. The victim was treated for non-life-threatening gunshot injuries and no arrests have been made. All Winston-Salem Forsyth County school students on campus have returned to their schools and none are injured. And Forsyth Technical School is going to be closed for the rest of the week starting right now. Okay? Now, the other story happened at approximately 3 p.m. today. Okay? This happened at approximately 3 p.m. today. This is at Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. An active shooter was reported at Joint Base Andrews in Camp Springs, Maryland. Officials have placed Joint Base Andrews near Washington, D.C. on lockdown after reports of an active shooter near the base housing. An armed individual has been reported near base housing. They said, stay away from base housing. They have initiated lockdown procedures, that the message said. According to the message posted by Joint Base Andrews Facebook page, The shooter is an individual, a white male, wearing a purple sweatshirt, black shorts, carrying an AR-15 style rifle with no orange tip. If you see any people out moving around, call 911, and that will connect you with base law enforcement. Security forces on foot and in mobile patrols are out looking for the suspect. Joint Base Andrews is located in Maryland's Prince George's County and is the home base for several planes that are manned by senior government officials, including the president himself. Joint Base Andrews is located, like I said, in Georges County, Maryland, and serves as the home base for many planes used by the President of the United States. President Biden was not at the facility when the incident occurred, and Vice President Kamala Harris had already left on Marine 2, as other administrative staff, senators, and congressmen had also left. They had just left that base after attending other duties around the country. This is a developing story, and if we get more information before this program is finished, we will bring this to you as soon as that information becomes available. Now, another story that happened last night, this out in Kentucky. And this is a very concerning event. Okay? This is very concerning as to what happened here. 9 soldiers were killed in 2 Army helicopters in a training mission, and they crashed in Kentucky. The crash unfolded during training on Trigg County to the west of the Army base Fort Campbell. 9 soldiers were killed within 2 Army Black Hawk helicopters, HH Black Hawk helicopters, which are amended Black Hawk helicopters. These helicopters are usually used for missions involving retrieval of medical personnel and medical patients. Okay? This happened last night into this morning. The crash occurred at approximately 10 p.m. local time last night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, in Trigg County, west of Fort Campbell. The Army base said in a statement early this morning that 2 H-860 Black Hawk medical evacuation aircraft were engaged in a training exercise. All 9 soldiers were based at Fort Campbell in the 101st Airborne Division. Their identities were not immediately made public, pending notification of the next of kin. Brigadier General John Lubas with the 101st Airborne Division said there were 5 people in one helicopter and 4 in the other, which were described as fairly typical. The 2 helicopters were being flown with night vision goggles. The Army has deployed an aircraft safety team from Alabama and also one from another state who will be arriving later today. They will initiate an investigation into the crash and the cause of the crash. He said he is hopeful that investigators will be able to pull data from the onboard computers of the aircraft, noting that those computers are something similar to a black box on board a military or a commercial aircraft, and that should shed more light on the reason for the crash. This is a truly tragic loss for our military families, our division, and Fort Campbell. Our number one priority is caring for the families and the soldiers without their combat aviation brigade. Everyone has been affected, the families and all the people that worked with these people that have been killed. Tim Core, who is a pastor here in North Carolina, today identified his son as one of the 9 soldiers killed. Folks, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence in tribute to these men and women who were killed in this crash at Fort Campbell last night. thank you for that. I appreciate your cooperation. But let me also say this. We owe the men and women of our military a high honor that we probably will never be able to repay. Those men and women sacrifice their lives even on a daily basis for our safety and also for our country. And when these men and women have passed away as a result of their service, they deserve the highest honors. We pay tribute to them. We thank them for their service. We thank their families for allowing them to serve in our military and our families' service to our country. It's not just those soldiers, the airmen, or anyone else. It's the families that are also sacrificing for all of us. With that said, I'm going to move on. Let's talk about finances. We're going to talk about Wells Fargo right now. Then we're going to talk about digital dollar. Okay? Wells Fargo is one of the biggest banks here in the United States, and we've talked about the banks failing. Wells Fargo has now been fined $100 million for sanctions violations. The U.S. Federal Reserve Board and the Treasury announced fines today for Wells Fargo totaling almost $100 million for enabling sanction violations worth more than $500 million over 5 years. I'm going to explain where that comes from and why it is so damaging. And damning, not just damaging, but damning. The Fed said in a statement that Wells Fargo historically has been inaccurate in its oversight of sanctions compliance and compliance risks, as a subsidiary has allowed a foreign bank to process around $532 million in prohibited transactions. People and countries that are not allowed to participate financially in the United States were allowed to do so by Wells Fargo between 2010 and 2015. The Fed and the Treasury fined the California lender a total of $97.8 million, according to the statement. Now, $67.8 million of which was levied by the Fed. The Fed said Wells Fargo's subsidiary had provided a trade finance platform to a foreign bank, which then used this platform to process prohibited transactions. The Consumer Financial Protection Board recently fined Wells Fargo $3.7 billion with a B. $3.7 billion fine for its illegal conduct and widespread mismanagement of auto loans. They fined him $3.7 billion, and so this $100 million is just a drop in the bucket. Okay? This is the kind of bank that Wells Fargo is. They continue to violate banking regulations, federal banking regulations. They should be taken out of business. Okay? The major banks are starting to fail. The major banks are forcing the smaller banks to fail as well. Our economy is barely on the precipice of failing. In a few minutes, we're going to discuss more about this. But prior to us discussing this, I want to talk about a volcano on a Caribbean island in Martinique. This comes from Geology Hub. Frequently over the years, we've used Geology Hub videos to show you what's going on with some of the volcanoes and other geologic features that we have concerns about. Please pay attention to this program.
As of March 29, 2023, 3 active volcanoes in the Caribbean are at a raised alert level of yellow. These volcanoes are as follows. On the island of Guadalupe, the volcano known as La Gran Soufre. North of Grenada, the Kikimjeni submarine volcano. And, most notably, on the island of Martinique, Mount Pelee is also currently an alert level of yellow. Taken out of context, this situation might sound somewhat scary, as Pelee produced the deadliest volcanic eruption of the 20th century, wiping out the town of St. Pierre and resulting in nearly 30,000 deaths in 1902. And many people only became aware that several Caribbean volcanoes were at a raised alert level after the La Soufre volcano on the island of St. Vincent began to erupt in late December of 2020, as by December 30th, Pelee and La Soufre were both at raised alert levels. And local residents who know their history will note that both of these volcanoes produced destructive eruptions in 1902. Thus, some people have pointed to the 2 volcanoes having what appears to be a connection, worrying that since La Soufre did erupt in December of 2020 to April of 2021, that a similar fate might be waiting in the next few years at Pelee. However, a large-scale eruption, in my opinion, does not appear likely anytime soon given the present activity at Pelee, and there is not actually a known connection between the 2 volcanoes. La Soufre does not seem to affect Pelee and vice versa. I will briefly explain what is occurring at several Caribbean volcanoes, as several people have emailed me asking what the volcanic situation is as of 2023. After the explosive phase of La Soufre's eruption during April of 2021, which blew out a 900-meter wide crater and destroyed 2 lava domes occurred, its alert level was lowered in several stages, finally being lowered to a normal alert level of green on March 16th of 2022. On the other hand, although the Kikimjeni volcano has not erupted since 2017, it has remained an alert level of yellow. So, is anything special occurring at this volcano? The truth is, no, not really. The reason Kikimjeni is at an alert level of yellow is because, per a statement paraphrased from the UWI Seismic website, sensors don't really detect anything from this specific volcano until it is already erupting. In other words, it can erupt with little or no warning, and as a result, its lowest alert level is not green, but instead yellow, carrying a minimum permanent exclusion zone of 1,500 meters around its summit. Meanwhile, the situation at La Gran Soufre is somewhat different, as it has been at a raised alert level of yellow for several years, perhaps since even as far back as 2001. After last erupting in 1977, a definite change in activity would eventually follow in 1992. This marked the year when the volcano reactivated, as a sustained increase in seismic activity occurred, which was consistent with what, in my opinion, was a slow refilling of its at-depth magma chamber. This process has now been ongoing for 31 years, and an eruption has not occurred during that time. And nothing dramatic has occurred at the volcano in the last few weeks other than a minor earthquake storm from March 7th to March 8th, which consisted of 36 earthquakes of less than a magnitude 1.0. Pelee is in a similar situation as La Gran Soufre, although its possible reactivation occurred in late 2018 and produced a definite increase in seismic activity in April of 2019. Its alert level was only raised on December 4th of 2020 from green to yellow after 2 tremors were detected the prior month. Since then, Pelee has not really produced anything truly noteworthy, although the number of earthquakes it has produced every week is still elevated, with 6 occurring in the week preceding March 24th, 2023. Thus, if you live on these islands, in my opinion, I would not be worrying about a volcanic eruption occurring in the short-term future. I have generally found that longer periods of low volcanic unrest are far less likely to produce an eruption than rapid, high-intensity periods of volcanic unrest. After all, an apparent reactivation of a volcano does not mean that it eventually is guaranteed to erupt in its current unrest period, however long it might end up lasting for. For example, the Three Sisters volcano in Oregon reactivated in 1995, and the Edgecumbe volcano in Alaska reactivated in 2018, yet neither of these have erupted as of March 29th of 2023. While there is currently not a short-term concern regarding any of the Caribbean volcanoes, because volcanoes are sometimes unpredictable and can erupt without warning, especially during unrest periods, there is a potential longer-term threat. As, in the next 25 years, there is always a possibility that something will unexpectedly rapidly change during an unrest period in the future at one or more volcanoes, possibly leading to an eruption or series of eruptions. Thanks for watching. If you would like to request a specific topic, please leave a comment below.
Okay, that comes from Geology Hub, okay? I use their videos sometimes to point out specific instances where questions have arisen, and like he said, Pele Volcano is not in the process of erupting at this present time, okay? That volcano is not going to erupt right now. Now, he talked about the volcano, undersea volcano out there in the Caribbean as well. Folks, that is not erupting either. Now, one of the reasons I played this video program today, we have an undersea volcano off the coast of Washington State that I believe is erupting. I did some history last night, did some investigating, and Thompson Seamount off the coast of Washington, I believe, is erupting. We have had a buoy in active mode, in alarm mode, off the coast of Washington. We believe that buoy was activated by Thompson Seamount. Okay? The Thompson Seamount is in that area. Every time we've had a buoy that has gone into an active mode, it's usually because there has been an active seamount below it. Now, with this seamount, it has erupted in the past. That is the reason we're saying that Thompson Seamount is erupting underwater. Okay? There's enough evidence to point to that fact. Okay? Now, given that fact, we don't believe it has anything to do with the Cascadia megathrust earthquake that is going to happen. We don't know when that Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to happen, but we also don't believe that that under seamount has anything to do with it. Okay? Now, if it turns out to be I'm wrong, I will come and tell you that. But so far, all the investigation points to that active buoy being active because of that seamount. It's happened before, and it's happening now. That's why we went into investigative mode yesterday. And I couldn't come on the air and tell you about it until today because all the evidence I was gathering pointed to that fact. And it is finally, I'm fairly certain that that's the reason. That's why we're talking about it. Now, some of you have asked questions during the beginning of this program, and I'm going to go back through the chat and try to answer them, okay? Tufoku has asked, did they release any names of those individuals on the helicopter that were killed? No, they have not. I fully believe that after their families have been notified, probably at some point tomorrow, or at the least by Saturday, the names of those victims will come out. But first we have to notify the families. That is the most important thing at this point in time. We had another, let's see, we had another question here. I'm going back right now and trying to find it. Gladys has passed away, okay? I found that out yesterday. Gladys has passed away. She was a great person. I spoke to her on a couple of occasions during the past couple of years. She had questions. She was very knowledgeable. She was a very smart woman. She had her act together, and I respected that. When people have questions, I try to answer them. And she had some questions, and she also sent us a few letters over the last couple of years, and I appreciate that. And Gladys, wherever you're at, there up in heaven, God be with you. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. We appreciate your service here on this earth, and I'm sure your Heavenly Father also appreciates that, and your family also did as well. God bless you. I want to also pay tribute to another good woman. Scooter Pie lost her mother. I never spoke to Scooter Pie's parents. When I was on the phone with Scooter Pie a while back, her parents were there and said hi, and I said hi back. Scooter Pie's mother fell. She broke a few ribs, and when she fell, breaking those ribs, she never got back to where she was. She developed pneumonia, and from what I understand, she passed away yesterday. So I pay tribute to her as well. Scooter Pie loved her, as well as her whole family. When these people pass, it's as if a member of my own family has passed. All of you mean the world to me. And so I take a few minutes and pay tribute to those individuals and those families. I appreciate each and every one of you. You mean a great deal to me. It makes me sad, it really does. It affects me. Anyway, let's try to go on here. Someone asked for what happened with Wells Fargo. They were fined billions of dollars for making transactions with foreign banks. Illegal conduct. Illegal conduct, as the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau said. Illegal conduct. They fined Wells Fargo $3.7 billion, billion with a B. Widespread mismanagement of auto loans as well. It's incredible what these banks think that they can just get away with. I take great pride in the banking accounts that I've had. I sometimes feel that banks take advantage of people, and in this case they have. It's greedy people. It's completely greed that motivates these people. Now, before I get into other banking, really quick, the biggest earthquake today happened off the central coast of Chile. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake happened 67 miles off the coast of Santiago, Chile today. This is one of the data pieces that I have here, okay, of that earthquake. There's only actually 2 or 3 that I found that I could even link to Chile. All the rest of them were false information, false data. So it's getting to the point where I cannot even trust some of the data that I pulled from before. Like I said, there's about 3 or 4 different pieces of data that I can pull from, and this is probably one of the better ones. This came from Barbados, also in the Caribbean. Okay? This shows that earthquake. Now this may have been a 7.0. I don't think it was. I do think it was a 6.8. There's just not enough data. There's not enough P waves to fulfill really a 7.0 earthquake. you can definitively see the number of P waves on this seismic data sheet. This is what they call a helioplot, okay? And you can definitely see the secondary waves here. You can definitely see the secondary waves going off to the right here as the seismic waves diminish. And you can see the body waves. Those last two lines beneath the major seismic waves, okay? And I'm not talking about major earthquake. This is a very strong earthquake. But the waves coming after that earthquake, down here below that, are called body wave. Now, yes, I pulled this image just after 3 p.m. today. Okay? This earthquake happened at approximately 11:30 this afternoon, or it's 11:30 Eastern Time today. Okay? So at that time that I pulled this data, there was only 2 hours of body waves showing here. Right now, if I were to go back, I would probably have 5 more hours of body wave. Okay? Yes, I do believe this is probably a 6.8. After this program is over, I'm going to go over to the helioplots and see what I can see. Like I said, all the other data from the other locations around the globe has been messed with. So it will be hard to see exactly what we see. But if I can find any other data to support this seismic event, I will do that. But like I said, I believe it was a 6.8 earthquake. Okay? Yes, there's going to be some damage off of Santiago, Chile. There will be some damage. I have not heard of any injuries or any other information coming out of Santiago yet. As that information comes forth, we'll come out with that data as well. One of the other things I want to talk about before we go to I've got 2 main interests that I want to talk about tonight. The reason I'm putting this up, okay, the nation's largest egg producer, Cal-Maine Foods, their profit surged 718% amid the U.S. egg shortage during the past year. Their profit surged 718% during the shortage of U.S. eggs. Guess what? They overcharged on eggs. Earlier today, I went to the store. I priced eggs just 2 months ago, and I reported on this. Just 2 months ago, the price for 18 eggs, a dozen and a half eggs, was at $8. $8 for 18 eggs. A flat of eggs was $24. Today, that same flat was $11. It's come down over 50% from just 2 months ago. These companies believe that they can price gouge us. And guess what? The government is aware of these figures. And I'm going to some congressmen and senators to give them this picture, to give them this slide. I'm also going to give them the research that I've done on the price gouging because of the shortages. I'm also going to give them all the information they need to prove the slaughter of our animals. Yes, the slaughter of our animals to create a shortage. Not just of cows, but of goats, of lambs, of dogs and cats, turkeys, chicken, and ducks, because of an alleged bird flu They lied to us to inflate the price of food for us and to cut down the amount of food that is available to us. They've done it on purpose. Roxy Trim says Wally World is now charging $2.16 a dozen in Wisconsin. Well, that's good, because it's up above that here. I forgot what the price is of a dozen eggs. Okay? But it's less now than it was. Yes, Wally World's also making a killing on us. Richard Smith says a 2.8 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Chile. Oh, no, duh. There's going to be aftershocks as a result of that 6.8. Those aftershocks are going to continue for months, if not years. Every time we've had an earthquake of 6.5 and over, there are seismic events after that, aftershocks, and they continue for months, if not years afterwards. You can guarantee that there's going to be aftershocks since that earthquake happened. Now, I talked last night about Yellowstone. I want to give you an update. Today, instead of 24 earthquakes at Lake Yellowstone, there's about 15 earthquakes. I don't believe the seismic events have calmed down there. Again, like I explained last night, there's a volcano there. Okay? Everybody knows that the Yellowstone volcano is there. But there's a dike. Like I explained last night, I showed you a picture of an old dike. Okay? Where magma came up from underneath and forced its way to the surface. You saw that picture of a dike last night. That's what's going on underneath Lake Yellowstone. This has happened for a long time. I do not believe that Yellowstone is going to erupt anytime soon. There's just honestly, there are not enough earthquakes happening at West Yellowstone. Yes, we have inflation of the ground, meaning the ground is rising up underneath the lake, inside the lake. Okay, the bottom of the lake is doing this. Okay, it's breathing. Okay, it's moving up and down. Because the magma inside that volcano, that dike, is also moving up and down. That's going to continue until one day it does erupt. And water hitting hot magma does not mix. Okay? And it will be one heck of an eruption. But I just don't think we're anywhere close to that. Okay? Sleeping Volcano said she would love to get ducks' eggs not to eat but to craft with. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Anyway, guys, do you have any questions for me about anything we've talked about so far? Yes, I'm going to try to get to talk about Cascadia at some point tonight, but there's something very much more important that is going to affect our lives tomorrow that I want to get to. Does anybody have any questions right now? Lisa Spencer says, imagine uplift from a large earthquake and 45-degree tilt, and it goes across a couple of states. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. My friend Rob just put up in chat a 3.3 southwest of Ferndale, California. That is an aftershock. That is an aftershock of an 8.5 magnitude earthquake just months ago off of the coast of Ferndale, California. USGS tried to pass it off as a 6.8, tried to downgrade to 6.5, didn't work. It was an 8.5. And there was damage all over that area. And we continue to have aftershocks ever since. And that's going to happen for a long time. Okay? Lisa Spencer saying events are coming. Imagine when these meteor storms come in. Oh yes, absolutely, that's going to happen. Laura Marie says, Ron, any comments about the banking situation? Yes, that's exactly where I'm going to go. I'm going to spend a great deal of time talking about banking and finance, because starting tomorrow, you're going to see some big, huge changes. Okay, we're going to get into that. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've been talking about? Susie Fujinaga is talking about keep an eye on the area of the Suez Canal and Eastern Africa. She says she's getting reports of earthquakes. Yes, there are some minor earthquakes hitting that area. She's asking, when will the African roll start? It's already started. Protect Yourself says, I need to get portable oxygen for my mom. Any referrals or advice? Yes. Please send me your telephone number or call me tomorrow. I will give you a referral for oxygen for your mother. Okay? Portable oxygen for your mother. Linda's asking, don't they have any local farmers markets in your area? Yes, they do. The farmers markets probably will be starting to come open in May here in North Carolina. We have a Wednesday farmers market and a Saturday's farmers market here in Morganton, North Carolina. Any other comments or questions before we get talking about finance? Because we're going to be talking finance really a lot. Okay? Don Patoka just put up my phone number, so please call me tomorrow. Okay? Broke Fish is saying, any shaking around Crater Lake? Still no. Very little shaking. It's just minor tremors at best. Minor tremors at Crater Lake in south central Oregon. Rochelle O says the West Pacific was active for the past 6 months or so. Now it's our turn. Yeah, you're right, it is. This is the thing. A lot of people don't realize that the United States of America, and for that matter, most of Britain, has been protected. Well, guess what? I don't think that is going to continue. Okay? That's why I'm monitoring all of these fault areas so closely. Okay? That's exactly it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Any other comments on or questions about the banks, about eggs, about the earthquakes? Oh, by the way, one more thing. I want to show you this. I just found this today. Okay? Look at this. This is up in Northern California. Highway 158 in California. Guess what? Look at the snow. 7 feet of snow and counting. I got a call from surgery just minutes before I went on the air. That's one of the reasons I was a little bit late. Guess what? It's snowing again in and around northern Utah, and it was coming down very hard. Blizzard type conditions coming tonight. So everybody in northern Utah, guess what? Get ready. Get ready, you're going to get a lot of snow tonight. Starbright Pam says, where's that road? This is in Northern California. This is up in the Northern Sierras. Okay? This is in the Northern Sierras. It's amazing. That sign is about 8 feet off the ground. And look at the other road signs around that area too, off in the distance. Amazing. Kimberly Hopkins says she took the majority of her money out. Small bills, left enough for auto payments. That's good. Again, I'm going to caution you. You don't have to close your accounts yet. But I would not leave any major money of any kind in the big banks. Don't leave much money of any kind in the big banks. I've mentioned credit unions. Several of you have also mentioned credit unions. Put your money in local credit unions. That's probably one of the safer places to go. We've also mentioned taking your money out and putting it in your own pockets. Don't carry it around with you, but keep it placed where you can get at during an emergency. Don't take big bills. Keep the money at home in small bills. Okay? And I'm talking nothing bigger than a 10. Keep it in small bills because the government is soon going to quit printing much money at all. They've already cut down on the amount of coin that they've been producing. Starting tomorrow, things are going to get very rough. Don Patoka says Alta Ski Lodge over there in northern Utah is going to be closed, and the opening date is yet to be determined until the snowstorm is over. Incredible. I see over in my monitor here that we're getting some buffering, which is not my fault because we have a 2500 to 2900 kilobyte ratio here on our side. And yes, I pay for that. I pay some good money to keep this show going. Rob is calling for buffering too where he lives. I'm sorry about that. If you have buffering, one of the things we've told people to do is get out and come back into the program. That sometimes ends a buffering. But we still have it bouncing between 2900 and 2508. Okay? Yeah, Laura Marie says her screen froze when I was talking about small bills. Yes, guess what? They don't like me talking about it. We're going to be talking about the money crunch right now. Okay? Sleeping Volcano in Colorado says we're fine there, and I'm glad. Now, folks, starting tomorrow, the digital currency that we have tried to avoid is going to start tomorrow. Okay? I put this slide up because this is the main slide showing what is going on and how they are going to control our currency. Any currency that we're going to be given will be in digital dollars. They're not going to pay us in greenback dollars. Greenbacks will have no efficacy. Okay? Will have no efficacy. Okay? They're going to stop paying us in money, in hardback money. Okay? I want to make it perfectly clear about what is going to happen and why. Okay? Everything is going this way. It's going to happen in Europe. It's going to happen in Southeast Asia and Russia and China. The NWO that we've spoken about many, many times on this program is taking over. Okay? This is something that I have avoided talking about. I have avoided sometimes talking about. I have talked about it on occasion to put out the warning voice. But folks, now we are in to the Great Reset. We're into the Great Reset that we've been talking about. Things are going to be getting very hairy here on in. Okay? This is what we've been talking about for a long time. This organization right here. I do not want to see this in chat. I do not want to see this in chat. I've been hesitating about even talking about this. Please don't put this in chat. Okay? But that organization right there, the big guys from around the world, the big money, the deep pockets around the world, started this. They've been putting it together for a very, very long time. Okay? A very, very long time. Even African nations are now involved. African nations are heavily involved. Like I said, Southeast Asia and the Middle East are heavily involved. Everyone is going to feel this crunch. Entire banking systems are going to collapse. Okay? We saw that happen just 2.5 weeks ago. Nearly 3 weeks tomorrow, I should say. Okay? These people are going to control us. You see this globe in the center of this slide? Yes, they are going to control us through a quantum banking system. A quantum banking system. Now they're telling us that their system, their digital dollars, are going to be backed by precious metals. I'm wondering how that's going to happen. Okay? Backed by precious metals. This has been going on for a long time. They took all of our gold out of Fort Knox and other places where it was. It's no longer there. Okay? Now, let me put this out as simple as I can so you'll understand it. When you get any money, when you get paid, it'll go to your bank. But you're only going to be allowed to use that money as they see fit. Say you want to buy a sleeping bag. Now, I'm by no means saying it is just a sleeping bag that they may not want you to have. It could be anything. I'm just using a sleeping bag as a reference here. If you want to go buy a sleeping bag, or for that matter, a camping stove, or any other property that you want to have, a car, a piece of property, if they don't want you to have it, you're not going to be able to buy it. Food. If they don't want you to buy something specific, you won't be able to get it. Glenn Beck has been talking about this for quite a while. If they don't want you to have it, you're not going to be able to get it. Okay? Now this is going to have a ripple effect across the entire world and the United States and Canada and Mexico. Okay? I do have quite a few of the banks listed on this slide, but not all of them. Every bank is going to be run by the one central bank. Okay? Quantum banking, quantum finances. Okay? Does everybody understand what I am talking about? Rochelle D says, try to DIY. Absolutely. Absolutely. Starbright Pam says, yacht? Oh, don't even think about getting a yacht. If you're not supposed to have one, you're not going to get them. If they don't want you to have a cow, guess what? you're not going to be able to get a cow or sell that cow. If they don't want you to have seeds, you're not going to have seeds. Speaking of seeds, you need to plant your own garden. Call it a victory garden. And save the seeds from your garden. Don't throw them away. Save your seeds that you can replant next year and the year after that. Okay? Watch what you're doing. Okay? Watch what you're doing. Okay? Now, Cowboy Rogers is on this program tonight, and I appreciate it. He says, Ron, Don, Diane, my monetary systems playlist is loaded with information from channels explaining all of this and what we can do. First, invest into your necessities as you already have them, and save. Cowboy Roy Rogers and I have talked before. I agree with him. Now, I think Cowboy Roy Rogers and I should talk tomorrow as well. Because if I try to play those other channels on this channel, I'm afraid I will get a copyright strike. I'm going to try to put up more and more information for all of you. But you need to know that this is happening. And it's almost too late to do anything about it. I started talking to you last week and even before that to write and tell your congressmen and your representatives to say no to this. And now it's here. Now it's here. You need to do those things that you find necessary to do for your families. Okay? You need to do those things that you need to do for your families. And you need to do them immediately. Laura Marie says buying fuel may be limited if you've been driving too much. And speaking of that, if they don't want you going, for example, if I wanted to leave North Carolina and make a drive as a vacation to Utah, guess what? They're not going to allow it. They are going to control where we can spend our money and where we can't. Okay? Oregon wants to tax people more if they drive more than the government wants. California's also been talking about this for a very long time because their roads are so bad. Because the governor of that state has not done anything to improve the roads. Okay? And yes, this hurts the rural communities. It hurts the rural communities bad. And then, on top of that, and Catherine Sigerson is talking about this in Canada, but this goes for the United States as well. The carbon tax goes up April 1st in Canada. It's going up for us as well. Ever since the Biden administration came in, they've been talking our carbon footprint, and they have been taxing us because of it. Okay? Why do you think that they have gone to electric vehicles? They are not going to allow us to travel very far. After 2 or 3 hours, you can no longer drive one of those electric vehicles at highway speeds because it's going to run out of energy and you have to stop for many hours and recharge the vehicle. That's only going to go for a little while. Then you're not going to go any further. They are going to watch every drop of gas that we put into our gas guzzlers. Okay? This is going to happen, guys. Now, with everything that's going on, we've seen explosions at food supply houses, meat supply houses. chicken farms, beef farms, slaughterhouses. Guess what happened yesterday or Wednesday? Maybe it was Wednesday night. Just in the last 3 days. There was a truck that went off the road and burned. 45,000 pounds of chicken went crisp on the side of the road. 45,000 pounds of chicken went crispy critter on the side of the road. Our food's being destroyed. We have had more and more train derailments. Train derailments, guys, in California. There was another train derailment yesterday. Guess what happened? Can you even guess? The train cars went off the track, bent the track all to heck. But guess what? Ethanol was spilled on the side of the road. And no, this was not in California. It was in Minnesota. Ethanol spilled out of the train, and there's been a fire. The community was evacuated. The community was evacuated in Minnesota. Okay? They're purposely polluting the air. They're polluting the ground. They may talk, this big talk, about providing a green environment, friendly for everybody, reducing the carbon footprint. But they're destroying our food, they're destroying our water, they're destroying the land, and they're destroying the air. What more are they going to destroy? What more can they destroy? They're controlling our money, our banking. Okay? I'm telling you guys, we've been warning you about this for a very long time. We've been telling people to get prepared. Well, guess what? Now the day has come. I can't give you any more warning than I have given you now. This is a new financial system here, as it stands. Okay? The global currency reset, the GCR, is in place now. Okay? It's all connected. It's all connected. We've been talking about Nasara, we've been talking about GSARA. Guess what? It's all too late. The digital reset has come. The global reset has started. And there's not a darn thing that we can do about it. Okay? Susie says, take your map down. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay? Renee Steffi says, be careful who you talk about and what you support. It can cost you everything. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. What am I talking about, guys? I have been warning you that this day was coming. I've been warning everyone for a very, very long time that this day was coming. It's here. It's here. Folks, like I said, I've been warning you. I've been putting out information for 4 years now. 4 years. It's March 30th. Tomorrow, Friday, will be the 31st. On Monday will be my 4-year anniversary of broadcasting on this platform. 4 years. My last channel was taken down by a hacker when I had 25,000 people that I was talking to. 3,000 to 5,000 people on a daily basis. That's why I wanted to try to keep that channel, and I did my best until they took it down. Now, right now, I have 98 thumbs up. I have 98 thumbs up and 118 people watching. I used to get 300 to 400 people at a time watching. When there was a major disaster, sometimes I get upwards of 1,000 people watching at a time. 5,000 to 7,000 people watching any one program. Now, I've been lucky to get 1,100 like I did last night. Yes, last night we had, as of before I came on this program, 1,100 people had seen last night's program, where we talked about the pneumatic fault. Now we're talking about a complete change in the way we are going to be able to live. I've been worrying about it. Kimberly Hopkins says she has to go. I hope you have a good night, Kim. Thank you for being with us. God bless you. And give your granddaughter a hug from us. Okay? Thank you for being here. God bless you, Kim. Guys, we've been pushing this thing for a long time. Cowboy Rogers says we've been pushing the U.S. Congress for years to stop this nonsense. We have to educate our state legislators. Then adapt and overcome just like any other scenario. Learn and work with our community. That's where we're at. Cowboy Roy Rogers has it right. You need to get everything you need done immediately. I keep talking about it, but I mean immediately. Okay? Linda Covington says, don't give up your nugs. Oh, heaven no. No way. Starbright Pam says the machines will take over. We've seen those machines in movies. And all of us laughed. All of us thought, oh my gosh, what would happen if? Well, guess what? That if is here. That if is here. Wolfman says, get more freedom seed. I agree, seed is important. But we may not have any time longer. I saw seed in the stores for the past 3 weeks at Walmart. The seed will soon not be there. It only stays in Walmart a short time. Other seed is available. Heirloom seeds are available online through suppliers that I have sanctioned here, such as For Patriots and Patriots Foods and others. You need to get serious, guys. You need to get serious, and you need to do it immediately. Lama's Light says she's back, but she's really busy. I'm sorry about that. Folks, I hesitated like all get out to put this information out. I've been dancing around this for some time. But the reset starts tomorrow morning, probably at midnight tonight. There is no more time. There is no more time. I have put out warnings about this day for a very long time. We've talked about emergency preparedness every week, if not every day, on this program. We've talked about these disasters and emergencies that have been happening, and they continue to happen. It's here. Don Patoka says knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is life-saving. Fear doesn't stop death. It stops life. In order to prevail, yet succeed and not be scared of life's trials. Be aware and prepared. Renee Steffi says, will you still be able to get money out of an ATM? Not much longer. As I said before, they're not printing too many more greenbacks. The coin has been going away for 3 years now. They started with a coin shortage 3 years ago. The banks hardly had any, according to the people that I talked to, the banks themselves. Well, guess what? Now the digital dollar is here. Pretty soon, no one is going to be able to get a hold of any green dollars, because they will have all of it. They will have everything. We won't. We won't. Lamb is Light says, I missed a lot tonight. He said tomorrow. Lamb is Light, I said tomorrow that the Great Reset is going to start. Meaning, quantum banking is going to start. The people in the higher levels of government, and I'm talking the head, the big head, okay? Remember when they went to Geneva and had those great big huge meetings with all those wonderful higher up people and talked about finances and our money and their control? Guess what? The digital dollar starts tomorrow morning, and pretty soon we're not going to have any more green left. Carrington 2025 is saying here in the chat, is gold and silver going to still be good investment, Ron, or has it changed? I'm going to say this again. The elites are telling us that the digital dollar will be based on precious metals. I am not sure whether you or I will be able to buy anything gold or silver. I am hoping we can, because if we own gold and silver, they can't take it away from us. We'll be able to buy and get things that we would not normally be able to get if we have that gold and silver to back us up. I have some here where I live. I don't have nearly enough. Okay? Carrington says, God help us in these last days before the Lord comes back for all of us. This is just the beginning. I still don't believe that the tribulation has started. I believe if it has, this is the beginning. This is not the end. This is not the end of civilization, but this is the end of life as we have had it. This has been coming for 70 years, at least 70 years. My parents saw it happening when I was just a little boy. I remember hearing them talk about it. And their brothers and sisters, who are my aunts and uncles, talked about it a lot. Okay? Don Patoka says during the Depression, gold and silver ownership was banned. I fear that is going to happen very soon, because the big guys are going to be the only people that own gold and silver. Again, one of my buddies, one of the people I respect a lot, Glenn Beck, has been talking about gold and silver for a long time. My buddy Rob just talked about it with me the other day. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to get it. Okay? Starbright Pam says food and water is number one. Then gold and silver. I totally agree. Make sure that you have food, water, shelter. The three, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I burped at you. I have never done that. Folks, you need to have food, water, and shelter. The biggies. The biggies. Make sure you have a roof over your head. Okay? We may not have the time or the money to do much of anything else in the future. Our money is going to be hard to come by. I appreciate all of you that have helped me during the last year or so. I really do. I'm hoping in some way that you might still be able to. With everything that's going on, I don't know whether any of us will be able to even do anything. Okay? This is the beginning of this great reset. I believe the heavy stuff comes very soon. Okay? I believe the heavy stuff comes very soon. As it comes, I will let you know about it as soon as I find out. I promise you. And yes, I have friends in what I thought were high places. How high remains to be determined now. Okay? Lama's Light says, nobody I know believes this. I'm alone except for maybe 2 friends. Lama's Light, you have all of us. All of us are friends of yours. We're family. We are family, guys. We're not going away. Make sure you have things to plant your seed in, meaning good ground. Wood to build garden boxes with. Make sure you have those things that you need. Okay? I'm not asking anyone to do anything that I'm not already doing myself. I'm as concerned as all of you. Linda Covington says you can't take a gold bar to the store. You might in the future. If things get bad enough. Okay, you might have to in the future. Gold was traded for many, many years. Things are happening, guys. Things are happening, and they're happening at a high rate of speed. Renee Steffi says she's planning to go, she's prepared to go home to be with the Lord. She says she's disabled and can't do too much. Renee, I think you're going to be around long after I'm gone, and I'm not going anytime soon. Okay? It's all of us together. It's all of us together. Lama's Light, Sage Pup, Dennis, Dawn, Susie, Laura, everybody, Richard, Rob, everybody. We're all in this together. My friend Juanito over there in the Imperial Valley of California, he's part of us. We're part of him. We're all friends. We're all family. Roxy's with us. Wolfman says this is chilling thoughts. They are. Ron says, can you please share this episode to my wife, Teresa, on her Facebook account? If you access my Facebook account, you can share this program from my Facebook account to hers. Okay? It's here. You can share it from YouTube. Okay? This has happened. Okay? It's happened. Then the company says I have to go to the dentist and have my fillings removed. Oh, don't do that. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. Okay? Roxy Trim says, Richard, I will friend her. Well, thank you, Roxy. We appreciate that. I love each and every one of you. I want to try to help you. Richard, have your wife contact me. Have your wife friend me. Okay? I'll be happy to be her friend. I'll be happy to share everything that I've told you with her. I will be happy to share everything with all of your friends, your relatives, and anybody else that might be interested. Invite them to be part of our program. Invite them to be here when we do our program. If they're not here live, they can always pick us up after we get off the air. That's why we're here on YouTube. So you have access to these programs after we leave the air. But I'm here for all of you. I always have been. Okay? Sage Pup says, keep and hide the good teepee. Use the bad stuff for trading. You can do that. But say you have bought things for your food supply, for your emergency supplies. I don't smoke, and I haven't bought any tobacco products at all. But guess what? In emergencies, if you have tobacco that you can sell to somebody else for something that you need, you can trade it, bartering. Now they, in some states, are trying to stop us from bartering and trading. They don't want us to be doing it. Some states have made it illegal to barter and trade because they saw this coming. Okay? They saw it coming. It's here. Okay? But it's just not cigarettes. It could be alcohol. It could be anything. Anything that you have that you are not using, that you could trade for something that you need. Okay? Because there are going to be people that have what you need that you don't. And there's going to be things you have that they don't. So think about that. Okay? Please understand how serious this is. Okay? Please understand where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about. The Great Reset is here. I don't believe there's anything we can do to stop it. Earlier this week I thought there was, by getting hold of our legislators in the upper echelons of our government and telling the bigwigs, don't do it or else. But guess who's told them? Okay? Lamb is the Light says memorize your Bible, because they might try to take that. They might, but I doubt they're going to be interested in taking our scriptures. They may try stopping us from teaching each other or sharing information, but I don't think they're going to get hold of our scriptures. And besides that, I've got many copies of the scriptures with me. What are they going to do? Break in and take everything I have? Oh, go ahead, make my day. Make my day. Folks, I love you. I appreciate you. I really do. Each and every one of you. I care about each and every one of you. I have prayed for everybody here. Everybody in our EMA family. And if people, you find someone that was in and part of our last YouTube group that hasn't found this one, please invite them to join us here. Okay? I'm finding more and more people that did not know that we were here, that thought that we got kicked off. Yeah, we got kicked off by a hacker. Okay? But I would love to build this community here. I would love to keep sharing information with you. My dear friend Brian Clark, that I've known for a long time, he's here. He says, "We love you, Ron." Well, I love you too. I really do. You guys are my world. You always have been. I've known Brian for years. Some of you I've known for a very long time, and others I haven't known for that long, but you're part of my family. You're truly a part of my family, and I care. Folks, I wish the best for all of you. I was going to talk about this, okay? This is Mount Rainier. Notice Mount Rainier today, okay? Notice what it's doing. This is doing exactly what it's been doing for a while now, okay? Up at the top of this seismogram. This started at 8 p.m. last night. Look at all that magma coming into the volcano. Imagine if they turned up the electronics on that seismograph. Imagine what would happen then. If they turned up the electronics, we might not see any white on the paper. Okay? Take, for instance, see this small rectangle right here with lines out to the right side of it? That's called a magma churn signal. A magma churn signal. Magma churn signals are superheated magma. Superheated magma. The magma churn signals, as I have explained before, are usually 23 to 24 lines high. Notice this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines high. 7 lines high. 26% of real world. Meaning this seismograph has been turned down 75%. 75%. Okay? What would happen? What would happen, folks? See that earthquake at the top of this page towards the left center here? Imagine, folks, let's talk about this. There are actually 2 earthquakes on the same line here. Okay? They appear to be 2.2 magnitude earthquakes, minor earthquakes. Okay? There's also one at about 10, I want to say 10:25 last night. That one's also about a 2.2, 2.3. Imagine if this seismograph was turned up 75 more percent. We would really see the size of these earthquakes, the actual size of these earthquakes. They're not 2.2 and 2.3. And by the way, before I came on this program, I checked Mount Rainier. It had a 0.5 magnitude minor microquake. Guess what? We already know USGS is not telling us the truth. This seismograph, or seismogram right here, this piece of paper right here, this slide, is not real because they have downsized the machine. They've turned the electronics down so it's not giving us real world information. These earthquakes that you see here are larger than they are depicted here. Okay? They're larger. You also see a lot of tremors here. You also see a bunch of vertical lines here that are the small or tiny or the larger vertical lines without a dot in the middle of them, that is steam escaping from the volcano. Those are steam signatures. There's a lot of steam signatures here. Mount Rainier is steaming like a bandit. It's steaming like a steam locomotive from the 40s and the 50s. Okay? You're seeing earthquakes here. You're seeing a lot of magma. Up at the top of this seismogram right here, at 8:15, 2015 hours is 8:15 over on the left-hand side. Look across that line. It's 15 minutes long. Each of these lines are 15 minutes long. Why is that important? Look at what's happening on that line. The line is thinner, it gets thicker, and it gets thinner again. Those are called, that is called magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals. The thicker the line, the more magma that's coming into the volcano at that time period. Look at the line above it at 19:15 hours. That is 7:15 last night. Look at all the magma that came into the volcano at 7:15. Even before that, between 8:45 and, 6:45, which is 1845 hours on the left-hand side, and 19:15, which is 7:15. A half-hour time period. That was an awful lot of magma. And look over on the left. The white lines have disappeared, haven't they? The whites disappeared because there's so much magma that's come into that volcano. And there's other vertical lines in those lines as well. That is magma causing rock fracturing inside the volcano. Magma under power, under pressure, is fracturing rock inside the volcano, causing earthquakes and tremors. That's happening. It's happening a lot. It's happening a lot. It's not stopping. It's definitely not stopping. And let's take a look at Mount St. Helens. Okay? I want to show you St. Helens. Okay? The only St. Helens seismograms that we have available that are of any efficacy, meaning they're true, is this one right here. Okay? This is September lobe. September lobe. This is a seismograph that sits up on top of the volcano at Mount St. Helens. It sits over the top of the great big huge piece of lava that's acting as a plug in the top of the volcano. Okay? This particular seismogram is shown to be showing us the magma coming into the volcano. These wavy lines are called VLF, very low frequency waves. Very low frequency waves. As the amount of magma increases, the number of wavy lines also increase. Okay? You can see it here. Now, at about 11:15 this morning, we had that 6.8 magnitude earthquake that hit Chile, just off the coast of Chile, off the west coast. Some of the seismograms I'm going to show you right now are proof of it. Okay? For example, this one here. Okay? This one here. This is also Mount St. Helens. Okay? It's that same seismograph but on a different channel. Okay? Right here you see this earthquake here. There are tremors all over this seismograph. This one here in the red line, that's at about 4 minutes after 5 a.m. Okay? This is probably a 2.8 magnitude earthquake. A 2.8 magnitude earthquake. You see a lot of tremors here, don't you? These vertical lines with a dot in the middle of them. Look, I'm moving this seismograph up so you can see what it's saying here. Okay? Look after 11:15 this morning. Look at all these wavy lines here. Guess what that is? That is that earthquake in Chile hitting. Okay? The seismograms around the world are recording this. But if the agency doesn't want you to see it, they cleanse it. This is one of the few seismograms that I have showing the Chile earthquake, the 6.8 earthquake. And this is all the way up in Washington State, Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens. Okay? I just thought you might like to see that. Okay? There's a lot more to say about Mount St. Helens, and I showed you that on that other seismogram, because the powers that be, the people that put this seismogram out, are the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, and they cleanse the other information. Okay? You saw that other seismogram that came from this seismograph here. You saw the VOF waves, but you're only seeing this one earthquake. Guess what? There's more earthquakes than this. They just don't want to show it to you. They're not even showing an earthquake at Mount St. Helens tonight. They're showing a cotton-picking 0.5 microquake at Mount St. Helens. Yet you see this earthquake here. And we know for a fact that every one of these seismograms have been reduced in size because the seismographs themselves have been turned down. And the seismograms, because of that, are only going to show what we see here and be allowed to see what the seismologists want us to see. Okay? Now, I have tried my best to talk to these people at Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. I've talked my best with the USGS people. Well, we don't keep that stuff down. We don't take those seismographs and turn them down. We don't take information off. Oh, yes, you do, and we have the evidence of that. When we can show you one seismogram next to the other and show that you turn them down and are not being honest with us, that proves our stance. That proves what we're talking about. That was just two of them. Let's look at Mount Hood. Wait till you see this. Okay? Look at this one. This is Timberline on Mount Hood. Timberline on Mount Hood. Let me enlarge this so you can see it. Okay? The top of this is 8 p.m. last night. 2000 hours. Actually, it's 10 o'clock. It's 2200 hours. Okay? At 10:30, 2230 here. Over on the left middle here. The left center. You see that same magma pulse signal, and you see as the size of the magma increases, it causes earthquakes, It causes those vertical lines. That is magma fracturing rock inside the volcano. You see it all over this. Look at early this morning. That dark one over here on the left-hand side after 5 a.m. this morning. You see it here. Now, why are you not seeing it on these other lines? Because they've turned down the seismograph so far that it's not allowing the seismograph to give us correct information. But on these lines allowing us to see this magma and seeing these tremors coming out of the magma, the only reason we're seeing it is because this information was a lot larger than they're showing. These events were a lot larger than they are here. Okay? Now, as we go down here through the morning, look at this. Over here at the left, it says 10 a.m., it says 10:30, and yes, there's a line between them, that's 10:15. The line between 10:30 and 11 o'clock is 11:45, right? Or 10:45. Then we come to 11. Nowhere on this seismogram does it show that earthquake in Chile, meaning they cleanse that earthquake from Chile here on this seismogram. They don't want us to see it. They don't want us to see it. Now, we're seeing more magma here this afternoon. Look at that. An increase in magma here. That was greater than they're showing here because the machine was turned down. The events were larger, but the machine was turned down. The machine is only showing us what they want us to see. Okay? Just like these clowns in our government. They only tell us what they want us to know. Okay? So now I've shown you 3 volcanoes. Only 3 volcanoes. There are more than that. There are about 18 volcanoes that we should be watching. One of those is Sisters Volcano. Sisters Volcano. This one is south of Mount Hood. South of Mount Hood. Back last year, they thought there was so much going on at the Sisters Volcano complex. There's 3 volcanoes there. There's North Sister, Central Sister, and South Sister. 3 volcanoes. Only one seismograph monitoring the 3 volcanoes. They're right next to each other. Okay? There's so much going on, they thought they were going to erupt. They put out a yellow advisory for a possible eruption at Sisters Volcano. And prior to that, Mount Hood had the same problem. 125 earthquakes in 24 hours. That calmed down. Mount Hood didn't erupt, did it? Sisters Volcano didn't erupt. But look what we're seeing here. This is the same kind of thing that we saw here months ago when they said Sisters Volcano may erupt. Look at all that magma here. Again, this seismogram happened at just after 6 p.m. last night. It says 1830 on the top. At the very top of that would be 6 p.m., 1800 hours. Look at all that magma that's coming into the magma chamber. Again, this seismograph only is allowing us to see what they want us to see here. Again, they've turned it so far down that unless there is a good sized seismic event, meaning a major magma system coming into the volcano, then it's not going to show anything. But we showed it last night, and again this afternoon. Look at that. Look at all that magma coming into Sisters Volcano this afternoon. 1400 hours. That is 2 p.m. That's 2 p.m. Just after 2 p.m., there was a major charge of magma coming into Sisters Volcanoes. Look at that. It completely blacked out or colored 3 lines there. Completely covered up 3 lines. That's how much magma came into this volcano. And there's probably just as much magma if they would allow us to see it. If they would leave these seismographs turned up all the time to where they should be, then we would be seeing this action all the time. Okay? Now, why am I saying that? I put out the warning voice that there's going to be a volcanic eruption in the Cascadia system. And I'm talking from Northern California up just north of the U.S.-Canadian border. Yes, there's volcanoes up there as well. We have one volcano just south of the Canadian border. It's called Mount Baker. But unfortunately, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network doesn't want us to see what's going on. They either turn it off like they did today, or they turn down the seismograph so far where it doesn't show anything. That's what's going on at Mount Baker. Okay, you can go there and check out the seismograms that you want. The same thing applies. Okay, the same thing applies. You go up to Mount Baker Dam seismogram, it's not there. Lower Mount Baker, not there. Mount Constitution, it's not showing much of anything. They have cleansed the activity from Mount Constitution. There are a few things happening at Glacier Peak, but they've turned that down as well. So far down, it's not showing much of anything. Okay? They're doing that everywhere. Okay? I cannot even show you Mount Lassen and Mount Shasta here in Northern California because they have either turned off the seismographs or they have altered the data. They're putting out false data for each of those seismographs that are there on those mountains. There's 10 seismographs on Mount Shasta and there's 10 seismographs on Mount Lassen. They've either been turned off or they have altered the data so you can't see what's actually going on. Prior to this, for 2 years, nearly 2 years, we showed you data at Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen. There were all kinds of earthquakes happening because the magma was coming powerfully into that mountain. Seismograph LEM on Mount Shasta was one of the seismographs that would show you the amount of magma, huge earthquakes hitting Mount Shasta. And I'm talking 3.0 to 4.5. They're not huge, but those are sizable earthquakes showing the amount of magma coming into that mountain causing those earthquakes. Well, guess what? I believe it's gotten worse because you people that live around there have told me that you have felt shaking at your homes. That means that magma at these volcanoes is coming into the volcanoes and there's more of it. You have told me that you see steam coming from those mountains. It's true, those mountains are steaming. But you'll never see one of these agencies admitting it. Okay? You won't see them admitting it. It's not going to happen. Now, folks, something else that I've forgotten to talk about since Monday. There's been an alignment of 5 planets. 5 planets. Uranus, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and one other one I can't even remember what it is right now. 5 planets in alignment. It happens that you can see them just before sunset and just after sunset on the western horizon. The western horizon just before and after sunset. Now, I can't show them to you because I'm on the air. Okay? But they're out there. Some of the planetary alignments you can still see. That is the planetary alignments is one of the reasons that we've had the bigger earthquakes, along with an X-class CME from the sun that's hit. We're still getting interference from that CME here in North Carolina. Our television, our radio signals from the ham radios, the police, fire, and the rescue radios are all getting hit with interference from that CME. So, folks, again in closing, I urge you to see what your banks say you have in your bank. That's number 1. Make sure you have the money there to cover your bills. Number 2. Number 3, I want you to make sure that you have taken out enough money in case your bank closes down or your account is frozen. They're going to do that. Okay? Make sure you have the money wherewith you can do what you need to do to pay your bills. Okay? And to put food on your table. Make sure you're storing food, that you're storing water. Make sure you have a shelter over your head. Those are the biggest things. Those are the biggest things. Now, I appreciate everything that you've done for me. Okay? I'm not begging, I'm just saying that if you have it in your heart and you have the money yourself, that you could help me out keeping this program on the air and also helping to pay my medical bills. Mine are off the chart. For those of you that did not know, I have had cancer. I went in for treatments, radiation treatments. I am paying thousands of dollars for them. And the doctors want their money. The hospitals want their money. And they're knocking my doors down too. So yes, we all have our problems. I appreciate all that you all have done for me. It means a great deal to me that you have shared your hard-earned money with me, that you have gotten around to sharing your rock collections with me. That means the world. S. Nort sent me that rock collection, and I'll tell you, I almost cried when I first saw it. That means a lot. Sandy last year was sending me rock collection, things that she had collected herself for me. I appreciate that. I now have a sizable rock collection, and that means so much to me. All the things you've done for me. Okay? Now, you guys did not see this hanging on my wall. It fell down. Okay? I'm going to be putting it back up on my wall either tonight or first thing in the morning. This is something that one of our viewers painted for me. I appreciate that. Everything that you do for me is so valuable and means so much to me and my family. I ask the Lord to be with you in everything that you do. Please, please pray about this situation that we're finding ourselves in. Please ask the Lord to give you wisdom and knowledge about what you should do. Okay? The Lord will bless us, but He's only going to bless us when we are obeying His commandments and doing His will. Now, before I leave, I want to share with you a scripture that means the world to me. This is in the Acts of the Apostles. Apostle Paul wrote this. This is chapter 9, verse 5. And he said, "Who art thou, Lord?" And the Lord said, "I am Jesus whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks." It was Stephen that the Lord Jesus was talking to. And in verse 6, and he, trembling and astonished, said, "Lord, what wilt thou have me do?" What do you think the Lord said? Continuing, it says, and the Lord said unto him, "Arise, and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou should do. Thou must do." That's what Stephen did. Even though Stephen had been persecuting Jesus Christ, the Lord still, when Stephen repented, the Lord still had work for Stephen to do. Go into the city and do as you must do. The Lord will bless us. The Lord will protect us if we do what the Lord has asked us to do. If we are good missionaries, if we share what we've been blessed with, if we share our testimonies with our fellow man, we will be blessed. Folks, we're coming into the Easter season. We're coming into the Easter season. I'm asking the Lord to bless you this Easter with those things that you stand in need of. I'm asking the Lord to bless you, that you will this season feel the Lord's Spirit to guide you and direct you, and that you will have the Lord to be with you, especially during this sacred time of year. We're celebrating the crucifixion and the resurrection of the Lord. This Sunday at 10 a.m., I'm going to be teaching you about the triumphal entry of Jesus Christ into Jerusalem. I hope you can be with us this Sunday at 10 a.m. The following Sunday is Easter Sunday. We're going to be talking about the Savior's death and his resurrection. This is the most meaningful time of the year for me, and I want to share it with you. Please be here. Bring your families. Invite your children to be part of these Sunday school classes. I promise you that you will be blessed for doing so. Now, in closing tonight, we've talked about a lot of things. I'm asking you that you would remember what we've taught you, that we've talked about. Everyone is hurting. Families have lost their husbands and mothers. There are evil doings all around our world. Not just here in the United States, not just here in North Carolina, everywhere. I'm asking you to be safe in whatever you do. Watch what you're doing. Watch your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel. The Lord will bless you if you allow him to. Be where the Lord wants you to be, and be about the Lord's errand. Be on the Lord's errand. God be with you. May God be with you and bless you this day and always. If something else happens tonight, we will be back here to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Otherwise, we will be back here sometime after 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Tomorrow is Preparedness Friday, so we are going to offer you the opportunity to ask questions, and I will be happy to answer questions. I will have things prepared to talk to you about, but I will give you the opportunity to ask me preparedness questions, things that you might be able to do, things that you have on your mind. So think about that. Write down your questions and bring them to our broadcast tomorrow evening. Until then, may God be with you until we meet again. Have a great night, folks, and God bless you. Feel my prayers. I will be praying for you. Have a good night, folks. See you around the corner. Good night.